family. Hey. So today is Tuesday, which means it's Teaching Tuesday. And if you are new to this, my name is Vanessa, and by the time that we are done, you will become true to this. Okay? Teaching Tuesday is where we make the Bible relatable with a little bit of ratchet. Alright? So if I was going to name today's topic, it would be called Confidently Insecure. Okay? Alright. So yesterday, I was talking to one of my friends, and he was like, man, I wish you would date this one person because it would just be great. And I was like, And he was like, why? I was like, bro, I'm just not ready. Like, I'm just not ready. I got some insecurities and things I need to deal with before I even, jump over there trying to be in somebody's relationship. Okay? Got some things I need to deal with. Even as I was meditating for this topic, God showed me that the place that I'm in, where I'm saying that I'm not ready because I have insecurities that I have to deal with, is a great place to be in, because where you don't want to be is where you think you're ready, but you have things that you need to deal with, so you don't even know how to ask for help. When you're in the place where you know that you're not ready and you know that you have things to deal with, that makes it possible for you to ask God to help you with those things. It's a mess to be in a place where you're like, oh, I got this, I'm ready to go. And then when you finally get to that thing, it falls apart because you had stuff that you had to deal with. So I'm going to give you an example of that today, okay? And we're going to go to Judges, chapter 15, verse 11. Then 3,000 men from Judah went down to the cave in the rock of Edom and said to Samson, don't you realize that the Philistines are rulers over us? What have you done to us? And he answered, I merely did to them what they did to me. Okay? So, in that moment, that is Samson talking to these folks that he done burnt their whole village down, child. Okay? So, let me give y'all the backstory on Samson. If y'all don't already know, Samson is the one with the long hair and the super strength, you know what I'm saying? But, so, before Samson was born, an angel had came to Samson's mom and told him, like, look, you're barren, but God is going to allow you to have a son, but you need to not eat any unclean things, drink any wine, anything from a grapevine, and, when he comes out, he needs to do the same thing, and you're not allowed to put a razor to his head, right? Okay. Cool. We got some simple instructions. It's kind of like comparing it to us. When our moms were pregnant, there were certain things that they were not allowed to do in order to keep themselves and, the baby healthy. All right. So then Samson is basically dedicated to God. Like many of us, we were, christened at church or dedicated to God at church. So Samson grows up and it's time for him to get married, and he goes and picks a Philistine woman. And, Philistines are the people that are currently ruling over the Israelites. And his dad is just like, you can't pick nobody else. All these folks around here, you can't pick nobody else. This the one you want, huh? But little did he know that God actually told Samson to pick this woman as his wife. But how many times have you done something that God told you to do, and the people that you feel like are supposed to support you don't, because they don't understand God's plan. They don't understand that you're being obedient to what God is telling you to do. Okay, so as Samson and his parents is making their way downtown to meet Samson's new wife, okay, and a lion just run up on them like crazy, right? A lion run up on you. And Samson, rips the lion to pieces, and he didn't tell his mom and dad what he had did. So then, while he was walking back by himself, when he saw the carcass of the lion, it had bees and honey inside of it. And do y'all know what Samson did? Samson took some honey out the lion's carcass and ate it, and gave some to his parents, but didn't tell them where it came from. Okay? And I know, when I first read this chapter, I just kind of skipped over it, and I'm like, that's not important. Why would they tell us that? But then I was like, ding, 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 ding. He's not supposed to be eating unclean stuff. And if you eating honey out of something dead, it's unclean, okay? It's unclean. You got some instructions to follow, sir. him eating that honey out the lion's carcass is very important. So, star that, X that, highlight it, whatever you got to do. That's important. Remember that. So then he goes down to meet his wife and stuff, and they have this little feast and things. And he picked 30 men out there to be his companions, his little friends. And Samson told them a riddle, and they just couldn't get it. And they was trying to get the wife to tell him. But Samson wouldn't even tell his wife what the riddle was. So this chick was being a crybaby for 7 days until he told her. And then, she went back and told him. So then Samson got all upset, okay? Because that's what he does. And he was like, y'all wouldn't have got the answer had y'all not going messing with my wife. But then after that, it talks about how, what did he do? Oh, yeah, he killed 30 people. Whoever told him the answer to the riddle, he killed him pretty much, right? And he took some time away, because he was upset. He walked away from things. And then when he came back, he found out his wife got given to one of his friends. Samson was mad about his wife being handed over to, quote unquote, one of his friends. He burnt the whole village down, child. He just burnt the whole thing down, okay? He just burned them down. Now, listen. And he said, I just did to them what they did to me. So he didn't take nobody's wife. He burnt their whole village down, okay? And so after that, the next chapter comes, and this is where Samson meets Delilah, okay? This is where Samson goes to the town of Gaza, where he sees a prostitute, and he lays with this prostitute, and the Philistines see him laying with this prostitute, and they're like, okay, we gonna get him. We're gonna get him. And then he ends up seeing Delilah, and Delilah, pretty much leads him to his death. So we got some important points that I want to touch on about that, okay? So when I told y'all about Samson eating that honey from the lion, and how I said that when I first read it, I just kind of skipped over it because it didn't seem that important. Sometimes there are things that happen in your life or happen to you that may not really seem too important, so you kind of just skip over it and don't deal with it. And then it's that thing that is that your problems are stemming from that thing, but because you didn't see it as important, you just kind of skipped over it. So remember, in that moment after he did that, that's when things started to take a turn. After he ate that honey from that lion's carcass, that's when things started to take a turn. That's when his wife ended up turning on him. That's when his wife ended up getting, passed to a friend. It just wasn't going good for Samson. And I think it's because there's an issue right here. Then there's that issue of my father doesn't support me right here. Like, he got some issues he ain't dealt with. And you want to know, you can tell Samson got some issues. These men guessed the riddle, and he killed 30 people for guessing the riddle. Okay? His wife got passed to the homie, and he burnt the whole village down. He didn't attack the wife or the homie. He burnt the whole village down. Sir, you have some issues, and you need to see somebody. You do. You really do. But then the Bible talks about after he didn't burn this whole village down, that Samson led Israel for 20 years in the days of Philistines. Listen, sometimes God will allow you to be in a position where you're getting things done without dealing with your insecurities, okay? And then you look up one day and this insecurity then crept up and child and made you slip up, okay? And that's how it happened for Samson. Samson led the people of Israel for 20 years, and then one day this insecurity then slipped up, and he then laid down with a prostitute that then ultimately put him in the hands of the enemy. Can we come on, Samson? We got to deal with as you read the part about Samson and Delilah. It's just like, Samson, don't you realize Delilah is the person that keeps getting you tied up? And God broke it down to me this way. When somebody is eating cornstarch really isn't that good for you. But when somebody eats cornstarch all the time, it's because they typically have an iron deficiency. There is something missing. The iron that they need to have in their body is missing. And so when somebody keeps going back to something that clearly isn't good for them, something is missing. And I'm looking at Samson. Samson is missing that love from his dad, who doesn't support him in his decisions. Samson then got betrayed by his wife. Samson then got betrayed by a companion, a friend that took his wife. I mean, Samson then dealt with a lot of betrayal. And if you look at how the wife acted and how Delilah acted, it is very similar, that you will go back to the similar things that hurt you, just to try to prove a point. You want to know what Samson's issue is? It's what I talked about earlier. Samson was in this position where he felt like he could do what he had to do because nothing is wrong. But in reality, Samson has issues stemming from things that happened to him 20 years prior. Okay? It says that after his wife had betrayed him and after his wife had got passed off to the homie, he led Israel for 20 years. 20 years later is when he met Delilah. He didn't deal with that and ended up dealing with the same type of woman. The same exact type of woman, because he didn't get the healing and deliverance that he needed from 20 years ago. Y'all, God said that you don't have to be like that. You don't. You could be, like I told you, the position that I'm in is not a bad place to be in, where you know, this is my issue, God. I need you to help me with it. Don't be like Samson, where he don't even know where the issue stemmed from. When you have insecurities that you have not dealt with, it will cause you to become vulnerable with the wrong people. And that is exactly what happened to Samson. He became vulnerable with Delilah and talk about how his hair hadn't been cut, and that's where his strength lies. And that ultimately brought him to his demise because he was vulnerable with the wrong person. Okay? Y'all, like, listen. You got to deal with your insecurities. You do not need to be walking around here confidently insecure, okay? Look, I'm working on mine. Like, I know when y'all see me out or when I'm doing videos and stuff, I come off with a bunch of confidence. But in reality, God, I got some insecurities I got to deal with. I do. Like I said, it's not a bad place to be in. But when you just walking around confidently insecure and not knowing that you need help, that's a bad place, y'all. That's a bad place when you walking around like Samson with these issues from 20 years ago. That's a bad place. So tonight, my prayer is that God would show us. God, show me me. Show me the places that I need to heal from, oh God. God, show me the things that have hurt me, the things that I still carry, and the things that are preventing me from getting to my promise. Because I don't want to be confidently insecure. I just want to be confidently secure. I want to be secured in my position. I want to do what God has for me. And I don't want to suffer from past things. So I'll pray for y'all. Y'all pray for me. I hope y'all got something out of this. Okay? All right. Y'all have a good week.